Tehoki looked out from the mountaintop over the city below. A storm gathered in the distance, but still she stood and looked. The winds began to buffet. She sat. The rains began to pelt. Still she would not look away. Finally, lightning hurled her halfway across the mountaintop. The following morning, a hiker shook her. She jerked awake, looked in his eyes, and asked whether he would do anything to save the world. He said no, but he would do anything to make love with her. She told him she would be dead in a week, and instructed him to be quick, as there was work to be done. They descended together, asking every stranger whether they would do anything to save the world. If you've ever met hikers, you won't be surprised that by the time they left the mountain, they numbered several dozen. They walked to the city and soon numbered hundreds. When they were over 1,000, Tehoki said, "Enough. Now it begins. Meet here in 1 hour. Bring sledgehammers." 1 hour later, she led them out of town. Late that afternoon, they arrived at a factory farm. She stood on a truck by the gatehouse and shouted, "Today we begin to save the world. With our hammers we will enter this house of death and end it. Every machine, every cage we destroy. The building we spare, to be used as a shelter for those who have no home." To the guard she said, "Tell your masters these creatures and this place are not theirs, and never were. If all of humanity ate all the flesh you would sell us during our lifetimes, 150 trillion animals would be murdered to fatten our stomachs. Our rivers, oceans, and sky are dying. We shall not harm you nor any human. Go now, and do not come back." As the guard skedaddled into the building, and the managers soon skedaddled any which way they could, the hammers began to fall. Gates, locks, belts, blades, and every tool of death were soon no more. The animals that could survive were freed. The others, all those insane, tortured, genetic abominations, were killed with mercy. When the work was done, Tehoki told her followers that they would take up their hammers again in 1 week. 10,000 Salvation fighters would be needed for the next march upon a munitions factory. She assured them that that number and more would come, for word would go out around the globe of what had happened today. The munitions factory, once liberated, would then be dedicated as free housing for all those in miserable lives of economic servitude. And so it came to pass. But Tehoki did not live to see it happen, for she soon fell mortally ill. From her deathbed, she told her followers, "They think that if they kill the head, our dragon will die. But if not shared, leadership is just another poison, like the one that will kill me today. When you march this week, you will face guns, but the minions of oppression will have little stomach for killing an endless human tide. If some of us fall, wrap the murderers in your arms and hammer their weapons to dust. After this victory, armies of Salvation fighters will arise all over the world. Once the factory farms and munitions factories are ended, announce that all prisons and banks are to be closed forever. We will need no more marches. The threat of the hammers will be enough. And the lie of private property, the endless cycles of profit and poverty will be done." Tehoki fell silent and died. She was taken and buried on top of her mountain. But her words came to pass as humanity returned to the community of life.